Are going to talk once again about how we are going to set up OBS to stream Twilight Imperium. And in order to do so, uh, you're going to have to see Hellscape mode. So, what I mean by Hellscape mode is I'm sharing my screen rather than a particular image. And I'm putting OBS itself in that screen so you can see that what I'm doing with it, even though, yes, it's very exciting looking. So in any case, let me show you around real quick. And apologies for the hellscapeness of what this looks like. All right, so there is a stream information pane. That just has the information about your Twitch. You can change the title of your stream in here, your category, all of that stuff. I don't really use any of the other stuff, but there's settings. There is a stream chat. That's where I can talk to chat. Built in here. I don't have to have a separate Twitch open, which is great. Very useful. I already know this is going to be very, something. The controls here are how you start your self-recording or streaming. I'm streaming these directly because I don't want to store the videos on my poor computer. So I'm just putting them straight up to Twitch and then straight from Twitch to YouTube, which I'll show you later. Right. And you can change your settings and things in here. I don't really worry too much about this. I leave it on the default settings. You can see my little voice mixer thing here. And we're going to be setting up more of those in order to capture the voice of all the players and your co-commentator. But that's going to be a separate video because voice is like kind of complicated on here, comparatively speaking. And so we'll do that later. And then we have sources and scenes. So I can't actually show you by clicking into the scenes exactly. I will, in a second, click on this action phase button and it's going to take you out of Hellscape mode and show what I show on my screen when I am in the action phase mode. So you can't see OBS at all, right? Because I'm not showing OBS. I'm showing specific things like the overlay in the game. And those all come from sources, which I'm going to show you how to add in a moment. All right, back to Hellscape mode, which I've called How-To. All right, so how do we add the different sources? We won't talk about audio ones that we need in order to have Twilight Imperium going. Well, it's pretty simple. You are going to first hit this plus button. And it's going to give you this little menu. Right now, obviously, I have a display capture going so that you can see everything going on. Don't worry about that. You probably won't want to use that. That's not so pretty, I will say. Yeah. We do, however, need to set up our different sources for stuff you want people to be able to see. So as you can see on here, you can see a couple different things. So you can see TTPG. You can see these images that I have that I'm moving so you can see them. And this image is actually a slideshow, which I can show you how to do as well. And then we have the overlay, which is in many different pieces all around. So easy enough. We will get that going. So in order to add TTPG as a source, we would go in here and we would do a game capture. So that's going to capture the game, including the audio from the game. So you know that TTPG sometimes makes funny noises. You are potentially going to be putting in the noise from that. So just be aware. So table spelling playground. Okay. So you can see I could add an existing one that I've already set up. I'm not going to do that because I want to teach you how to do it. So you click OK. And then you get to look through all of this. So in this case, you want to capture a specific window. And that window is going to be Tabletop Playground. I'm going to put that away for now, because otherwise you won't be able to see what's going on, because it will have already put it up on the screen. Yeah, so you want to make sure you find the window. So obviously, you want to find one that matches the title. And sometimes, depending on the app that you're using, especially once we get to adding sources like Discord for audio, the title isn't going to be exactly the same depending on like what page you're on it, which is kind of annoying. So you can use the window match priority to help it find what it needs to find. You can have it capture audio from your game, and it's up to you if you want to make that noise or not. I usually have it capture cursor in game so that I can point at things. So if you're not having it capture the cursor, when you move your cursor around, it's not going to show. It will show when things highlight. So in TTPG, when you hover over something, it highlights. Your viewers will see that, but they won't see your actual cursor. It's actually kind of annoying. So you probably want to capture your cursor for this. Otherwise, I just leave everything at the default settings pretty much. And then I just click OK, and it will set it up for you. I'm not going to go through putting this up because it will take away my Hellscape mode that lets you see what I'm doing in here. Yeah. Cool. So that would be how you would set up, and then you'd have a source here. Once the source is here, it should automatically put it into your overlay. If it doesn't, you just double click it, and you can see how there's this around here stuff, which is settings, and then there's this middle part, the Hellscape part, which is just showing what your streamers are seeing. That part, silly though it may be, is just essentially a preview of what everyone's going to see, which is why it's such a hellscape to look at right now. You want Tabletop Playground to cover that entire screen, because you want Tabletop Playground to be the entire screen on Twitch of what people are looking at, if that makes any sense. Obviously, it's kind of complicated, but yeah, that is pretty much what you have to do for that. Not too complicated. We do need a couple more things. So we need images. In order to get an image, you're just going to do image. If you want a slideshow of images, you just hit image slideshow. It's very similar. So yeah, you just say that you're going to create a new image or add an existing one that you have already set up before. You browse for the file that you want. I won't show you all my files, obviously, but this is just a normal Windows, like, go find your thing, which, yeah, I'm doing this on Windows. You could probably do this on a Mac, but I don't know how. Yeah, and that's pretty much all you have to do. Once you have it, then you can just resize it the normal way once it appears on your screen. You can also crop by holding Alt and then essentially resizing as well. Cool. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Slideshows, very similar. You just go in here. So yeah, you just set it up. There's different modes. You don't want to have to control it if you're doing just like a rotating thing like I have for my Pride stuff. You load in the image files in here. You can see how fast it's going. It can fade. It's very simple. You just set it up on your screen. Automatic slideshow. Amazing. We're geniuses. Absolute geniuses. You can see this red box. It's actually empty, which is very convenient for being the image slideshow. This is how you resize by dragging these little bits and pieces around. It will keep the same ratio regardless, no matter which thingy you grab. But then you can also hold Alt to crop it. And then the green bars go and show that it's cropped in that direction. And that will crop what players are seeing. I'm sorry if that's really hard to see. And you can do it both in the same time. And that's just holding Alt and then click and drag. So super easy, super simple. And then I will remove that. And you can very easily remove different bits and pieces. This is my display capture, you can see. So we're not going to remove that because we need it. But yeah, you just simply click it, delete it, easy peasy, no problem. So we also need to add our overlay. The overlay in the game is all of these different things. So the round number, the time in the game, the scoreboards in various places, all of those different things. And yeah, so in order to do that, we are going to need to add a browser source because that is technically what that is. Yeah. So, one sec, it's getting a little laggy on me here. And I'm just grabbing some information from how I have it set up so that I can easily show that to you. Okay. Great. So all we're going to do is we're going to add a browser source. Which is pretty cool. So the URL by default with the TI buddy, which it's good to have it open while you do this just so you can kind of see what's happening, is this. And so you just put that in here, and then you need to make sure that it is big enough. So I use 3000, and that covers it all. But you can play with it to see what makes the most sense for you. Cool. Then you can leave the rest of this pretty much as is. And you can refresh the cache. And that's all you really have to do. And once you do, it should create your overlay. Yay! Okay. So you can see it makes this transparent overlay where the boxes are their own thing. We can, of course, resize it. We can drag it around so you can see all different parts of it. And we can crop it to zoom in on whatever particular thing we want to zoom in on. So like this is a rotating thing that lets you see the board and the tech of one particular player. Oopsies. Sometimes you've grabbed the wrong thing. It's not a big deal. You just put it back and then grab the right thing. So yeah, and that's how you just get little bits of overlay that you can put wherever on the screen that you want to put them, wherever it makes you happy. Likes it. If you want to make more of them, you can just copy and paste. It'll go in the same spot, so it looks like it didn't do anything, but then when you drag it away, you'll see that there's one underneath. Amazing. And then we just hold Alt, uncrop, and then recrop to whatever it is that we want to crop it to. So here's the objectives page. Pretty simple, pretty cool. A couple things for troubleshooting. Occasionally, it will be fussy at you. And it will not be showing up or not be updating the way that you want it to do. In some cases, this will just show as a transparent box that you can select, but it doesn't have any content. Usually what you need to do in that case is you just go to properties to bring up the thing that you made it with in the first place, and then you just hit refresh cache of current page. It will refresh, and then it should show up for you. So that is how we troubleshoot that. And of course, we're not going to be layering these over a display capture, hellscape mode. We are actually going to layer it in here, which is just I should fix that later. There we go. Yeah, so we will just be layering it over TTPG, and you can always bring things forward if you need to. The way that we do that is, let me go back to hellscape mode, not spreadsheet update. Haha, very fun. Right. So you can move things around, you can group things however you need to. I never really had problems with this because I just paste things on top, but you can use the order to move things up and down or to top and bottom in the order. If, for example, something gets tucked behind your TTPG, that's obviously annoying, and you can fix it that way. So that is how you get your image sources in. And so once you have all of that set up, and it will take you some time to figure out what exactly you want your overlay to look like, and it has something to do with like how big do you want them to be, how large do you want the font to be relative to things. You've got to play with it to see what works best for you and your computer and whatever it is that you're doing. But once you've done it, you should be in pretty good shape to get it all put together. And yeah, that is how you're going to put the images together. While we're in hellscape mode, I'll show you that you can have separate scenes set up, and you can just add a new one. But usually what I want to do, because I usually have audio set up how I want it, is I would just go down to the one that I'm talking about and duplicate it. So if I, for example, set up an overlay and I'm like, okay, I'm happy with this, but now I would like to make another overlay for combat. I will duplicate the overlay that I'm currently working on, and it will hold all of the settings. So you just hit duplicate, how-to 2, great. We'll just call it that. And you can see that it's exactly the same as how-to. And that means it brought in all the sources that I already wanted on my screen. It left them in all the same places, and then I can modify it however I want. And so, for example, let's say I add an image, and that image is this image. Then that will only have changed on my new duplicated overlay. And yeah, that's all you really have to do. Very convenient, very cool. And that way you don't have to redo your voice settings and all your other settings. So I would set up one to be your default, and then everything else is just duplicated versions of that renamed to whatever you want it to be, which is super chill. You can also make things that are completely separate. So for a second, you're not going to hear my voice. That's because I'm going to send you to a screensaver, BRB, that I have, and it doesn't have voice. So even if I forget to mute my microphone on my end, you're not going to hear me while we're on this screen. See, nice and simple. The same is going to be true on some of these. Some of these have voice, but nothing else. So, for example, there's still voice here. I can talk to you, but look, I have a giant picture, and this is the one before I put the Doge picture in. So sorry about that. There's the Doge. Oh yes, such a good boy. He is very cute. Okay. Yeah. So, and so you can have a lot of scenes set up, but like I said, it is generally easiest to do that by duplicating, just so you don't have to re-add stuff. Although, as you saw, it does let you add existing ones that are in different scenes very easily, so should not be a problem for you. All right, In the next video, we will talk about audio, and I'll get all funky with explaining how that works. And yeah, it'll be super great. See you soon.